Hello, everybody, and welcome to Bomber Banter. It is round 9. We face the Swans on Saturday at 4:15 at Marvel Stadium. What is this game going to produce? What kind of fuckery is going to emerge from this game? As always, it does. I am anticipating. Why do I get this really, really dour feeling that it is going to be go to the end of the line, last quarter, edge of the seat? Why do I get this feeling? Maybe it's because both teams are incredibly vulnerable and neither team are quite firing. Um, and it's just got a bit of a feeling, this one. Apologies for the late start. I say that, or am I being a nana in saying that? It is kind of late for me. I was on auntie duty tonight, so hence the late start. But I assume that a 7:38 start is preferable. Maybe you guys let me know in the comments, and just let me know for future what would be a good start for Thursday night team selection night. Lots to chat about. Lots to chat about compared to last week. The changes are many. None more important than our two Bebe Bombers who are getting deputized. Very exciting. I know, we all scream, play the kids, but it's not always a reality. They are little ducklings and you cannot push them all out to sea at once because they will drown and lose their confidence. And yes, it may be forced right now to be playing them. But I think their inclusions also explain some of the other inclusions, in particular one omission. So we will chat more about that very soon. Please have a chat. As always, get involved. I hope many more of you get the courage to jump on and have a chat to me. I was saying to someone, a supporter tonight, it is very scary for a hot minute, and then you quickly forget that you're chatting and having just some banter with me. So it just takes that one time to get the monkey off your back. So I would love to see you. So I am going to pop the link into the chat. I've been told that I need to dumb this process down a little bit for the non-tech savvy people, because I am one of those. And so basically, as you will see, I have just appeared in the chat that is underneath this video. So close out of it if you've got me on your full screen on the computer. The chat that's going on, I have just popped into the link and into the chat and dropped a link. All you need to do if you want to come on and have a chat is click the link and you'll go to a waiting area, and then I'll bring you onto the screen and and you can have a chat. I have a face for radio. I mean, so do I, but that hasn't stopped me. So we are doing it, Richard. Come on, join. We've got to get the monkey off the back. I am adamant that I'm going to get many of you on here for a chat soon. So, or else it's just me talking into a void, and that's no fun. So, okay, tell me in the chat, first thoughts, what are you thinking with the changes? What do you like? What don't you like? I have many thoughts, but I'm going to jump to a man who goes to many training days and lots of VFL and has lots of insight to these young two guns that we have coming in on Saturday. So let's have a bit of a chat to Scott. Good evening.
Hello, how are you, Fiona? Good to see you.
I'm good. Yeah, you too. How are you? How's your Thursday?
Yeah, not too bad. It's getting towards the end of the work week, which is always cheers me up. So, and that means it's closer to game day. So, even though it's been a 9-day break, I'm really looking forward to the game Saturday to see what will happen. And I'm probably with you. I feel this dread that there's going to be a last 30-second heroic of either way of which team. It's a little bit of an unknown with us at the moment. And can we actually hit some form a little bit? And, what does 5 changes mean? And, all these questions in my head are going, how does this all factor in? But look, the exciting part is 2 debutants, eh?
Yeah. All right. So whilst you're here, let's go through the changes. So in Lewis Hayes and Archer Day Wicks for their first game. Jai Caldwell comes back. Wonderful. Dylan Shiel comes in after a week off, and Saad Al Houli. Out goes Jordan Ridley, Jade Gresham, Harrison Jones, all injured. Jai Menzies and Elijah Sartis omitted. For the Swans, out Lewis Melican with that 3-game suspension, and in comes Ben Patton, who is a medium defender. Who you think would be a replacement for him. You'd think they'd also send some coverage in Joel Hamling or Aaron Francis, who, as we know, has that ability to swing back down there. So, all right, hit me, Scott. What do you like? What don't you like?
Look, for the most part, I like it. And the more I think about it, the more I think when all the teams line up, there's going to be maybe a few surprises. I've just got this funny feeling there's going to be some surprises happening. So, like, for instance, I think the Menzies and Gresham out is really interesting. So you got Gresham, you lost Gresham. Daywicks is, yes, may play forward, but not a small forward type. So you've lost 2 small, medium kind of forwards. And I was just interesting that probably Sydney's got one of the best taggers going around. And in training, Merritt played a lot of high half forward. And I just wonder if there's going to be a little bit of a cat and mouse kind of trickery going on with the coaches to basically say, well, we may actually have our small forward in some ways, and he's actually the captain of the club, and in goes Caldwell and Shiel, and they may just throw things up, and Daywicks goes down and Langford to a wing, and they may just throw a whole lot of stuff around. I just got this funny feeling. I just got this weird feeling that there's going to be a little bit of a shuffle around the ground here.
You reckon?
Yeah, in some ways. If Daywicks starts the game, and that's obviously you're not quite sure, you feel like it's 50-50. If he starts the game, it doesn't surprise me at all if Langford takes the Jones position and Daywicks, because Daywicks is actually of that kind of Langford type.
Yeah, because he's 186? 186 centimeters, I think I saw.
Yeah, kind of medium but plays a bit taller in his marking. Not quick, but has his smarts, so he can be Langford-like. And I just think in my head, I think there's going to be I think if they play, there's a bit of shuffling going around here that we may, I don't know if the word surprise Sydney, but have a lot of areas where we maybe strengthen up our defensive side, because we're like 17th at inside 50 pressure, so we're not that great in that area. But Merritt obviously adds a lot of chaos there and a lot of defensive side. So yeah, I'll be interested with the Caldwell.
When I jumped on with Pommy, hi Pommy, hope you're having a good night. He's in the chat at the moment. When I jumped on with Pommy last week, we were discussing how Adelaide sent Jordan Dawson down to the forward line in their game. And I was saying how defenders hate it when midfielders go into the defensive half, because it disrupts their structure, it disrupts their planning, it disrupts the defenders, all the vision they've watched during the week, and they hate it. And I remember when we played Carlton and Merritt took Curnow down there with him, the tagger, and he was struggled to keep up with him, and it went a long way to helping us win the game. So if Merritt can drag James Jordan down there, which he does not play a lot, he does have some cameos down in the forward line when he needs to, Jordan, but that's certainly not his preferred position. So that is definitely a good thinking. I had to laugh at Julian saying, and I think, well, you in a wing or just bring in shuffle Roberts, keep Roberts on the wing and put him down back. Is Langford fit enough to play a wing position?
Well, I mean, traditionally he was, but whether he's changed his training routine to be the forward, that's always the unknown. So, yeah, he started on the wing last week. It didn't quite work out early on, so they kind of shifted things around. So it'll be interesting. He needs to find some form, but yeah, I'll be interested to see how this all plays out. It's, where does O'Hooley sit in that kind of is he the sub, or is it, the other person I think I'm trying to fit into the whole scheme of things is actually Setterfield. Because I'm looking at, okay, Shiel's in, Hobbs is in,
So many
Durham.
midfielders.
Yeah, and I was got Ed Pascoe, who some may know, was talking to me tonight, and he was saying, look, I wouldn't surprise me if Setterfield starts as a sub, and actually replaces Shiel 2/3 of the game in, who's struggling around the game, and they have a bit of a strategy that way, or just different things that they may throw up. But I was like, because he was saying that he was struggling to find an actual spot for Setterfield if Caldwell and Durham and Shiel and all these guys sort of stick to their normal positions that they've been pretty good at this year, then where does that leave? So I'll be interesting. Look, can I just talk about the debutants quickly? So it's really exciting. I mean, obviously people have seen Hazy probably 4 weeks in a row, or maybe even 5 weeks emergency. I was just having even look at his last 4 games that he played in the VFL. He was averaging 22 disposals and 11 marks in his last 4 games. So he's right to go. And he's 20 years old. He's played on very big guys consistently. He's definitely been able to shut them down. So this is a guy that if ever there's a guy that could come in and look fairly comfortable at the level straight away, he's probably had that groundwork to do that. And with Sydney's forward line, pretty much a lot of injuries, it's actually a perfect game to just bring him in.
Who is he going to play on? Who is he going to play on, Scooter? Because their forward line is, in fact, I would say we probably have more connectivity in our forward line and we have no connectivity than they do at the moment. They are an absolute mess down there. So who is he going to play on? Surely we don't give him one of their smalls, because they're all medium forwards-ish. And he's 200 centimetres.
My gut feel is that Sydney are going to play Aaron Francis forward, and he may then go to Aaron, who Essendon know that he may have played 1 year with Aaron, maybe when he got first drafted. So knows a little bit about him, but probably suits. I think Hayward is maybe a bit too quick. So. I mean, it is a slight concern that Sydney didn't replace a tall for a tall up forward, so they've gone quite small. So we've probably had this in a few weeks now, where we've felt like our back line is quite tall to what the opposition's laying out as far as their forward. So someone's going to have to play on a mid-size that's close to 200 centimetres. So it's who's the best to do that.
I mean, I'm just hoping we can shock them with the height, but they, of course, have their strategy here is to go small, fast, quick, smart, and run those tall defenders to the ground, have a lot of ground balls so the forwards can't get, our tall backmen can't get, not that I would drop Mackay, but I worry he'll probably have to take the tall, who would you think he would take?
Yeah, he'll take. I just when you have a mental blank, who's the? I'll just go. McLean. No, he'll take McLean.
McLean, yeah.
So I have no doubt he'll take McLean. And then what they'll do is they'll transition Reed to the Ridley role. So I reckon Reed will. They'll probably like Hayes and Reed will swap their roles, where Reedy was kind of playing a slightly more shut down role, with Ridley getting more sort of the intercepts. This will be Reed now doing the intercept part, and then Hayes will be more the shut down sort of second tall back. So I think they're going to want to have Mackay and McLean, and then have Reedy trying to do some intercepts. Even if he plays on a slightly medium size, Reedy, strangely, even though his height actually does have a fairly decent pace, and they've developed him quite a lot in the VFL for that role, particularly to be that flexible on the medium talls, to be a Fletcher kind of like, and he's been handling it quite well. So
And
I would
because he
say,
reads the ball beautifully,
yeah,
yes, we all know he disposes of it, but he reads it really, really well. So his mind catches on just as quick as his body does. So I think he reads his opponent really well too, as far as I can see so far. Um,
yeah. So, and look, and Day Wicks as well. Look, it's just it's kind of come out of nowhere, really. I mean, he was a rookie draft. A lot of people thought he'd get picked in sort of in around the 40s or 50s, but it just
mhm.
didn't eventuate. And we picked him up, pick 6 in the rookie draft, and I was wrapped. Like I was like, no, he's better than rookie. And the size of him, like people may get, if you haven't seen the VFL, people may get a surprise that this guy is 18 years old because he has the body of a 23-year-old AFL player.
Strong.
Yeah, yeah.
I went to the VFL
And
last week on Friday, and the two things that I noticed being up close to him, um, strong body, really strong developed body, powerful body, and agile
yeah,
for his size. Quicker than I
yeah,
thought, but his agility, he was running, he did a few loops, and Zach Johnson is very agile. That's
mm.
one of his I guess traits that he's on his draft profile. But Wicker, I did not realize how agile he was for his body.
Yeah, and I mean, he always says that pretty much his favorite footballer because he loves that style of game that he likes to play is Isaac Heaney. And
Yeah. Oh,
that's
how
he,
cute.
yeah. So he's look his last 2 games. I think he's had like 20 disposals, 5 tackles, and 18 disposals, 5 tackles. Is he always in the contest? He's a competitor. He normally uses the ball quite well,
Yep.
and he's got an aggressive style of kicking. So he'll try and look for the attacking kick. So if he has to kick it 30, 40 meters for us in a dangerous area and he sees it, he'll go for it.
Mm,
And look, he just has an odd little X factor about him too. So
yeah.
it's
He's
great to
like in the
see.
mold. He's a bit in the mold of Roberts. You can just already tell he's a tough nut. He's not going to shy away
Mm.
from a bit of a biff, a bit of a push and a shove. Um, Pommy and Oz, Day Weeks, honestly, if you develop him, leadership, yep, I don't mind that at all. Vision and his defense application is fantastic. Completely bodied some of the lads versus Werribee. Could play in the snow and not leave footprints. Amazing. Yeah. Very excited to watch him. Very, very excited.
Yeah, and look, good to see you online, Pommy. Good to see you supporting an Essendon channel as a blues man. But if Pommy's just a brilliant guy and has a brilliant show. So yeah, so it's really exciting to have. I think we have 7 players, so almost a third of the team that have played 17 games or less. So it's a different looking Essendon coming through now. And it's exciting. There has to be a realistic view of that. Sometimes it's not going to always work out in some games when you have kind of that, a third of your team will have such little experience. But it's exciting because what you're seeing is Hayes deservingly getting a spot because of performance. Day Wicks getting his spot. And really, you've got Angus Clark, who would easily, I would have no issue if he had a spot towards the end of the year. You got Zach Johnson, who's close to earning his spot. You got Jerine, who's starting to break out with a bit more fitness. So this draft is a little gold mine, sort of kind of showing for now. It's showing a bit of fruit for us, and it's exciting
And
as fans.
on that point, not just the draft, but finally our development is looking like, it's not like we have a VFL team full of leaders and, big, more experienced players to take these kids by the hand and help them and guide them. So I think there's a small tick for development.
Yeah. No, exactly. I mean, I think North played something like 17 listed senior listed players in the VFL last week. And I keep telling people, I said, look, I know we're just losing it. It's frustrating. But if you see the guys we're playing in their age group, especially Laverty's suspension, Sardis' elevation, Goldie's had to play in the seniors. There's just Owen Davey was the most experienced player in the game last week.
Crazy.
Yeah. So, and we're in the game, like we're right in the game towards the end, that could possibly win it. We're missing some easy shots in the VFL, but to see this group, and look, credit to Matt Rose, he's picking, and even I'll have to say it, even Dodoro's last year, with Caddy and Roberts, we're getting competitors, like we're getting guys who are a bit more kind of talented but blue collar in nature. So we're getting a bit of grunt coming through with these kids that like to compete and like to kind of, and that's in some ways that spirit is pretty much, even though we haven't played that well this year, why we're 4-3.
Yeah, I think that's a really good shout. It's not just about, sometimes this is a game of, resilience. And I think when you draft these kids, you do have to leave them in the VFL to develop that string to their bow, because they come chock-packed full of talent already. But what they haven't learned is to fight for spots. And Moby says it really well. We have kids with some mongrel about them. Absolutely. That's why as soon as I saw Wicker, I thought, wow, he's got the Roberts mold in terms of Roberts is the first to, when there's a shove and he's in the face of more, senior players, senior opposition players. So I just love Caddy's got it, and more of them will develop it the more successful we kind of get. So it's looking good. It's looking good, Scotty. Thank you so much for jumping on and having a chat.
My pleasure.
Are you going on Saturday?
Oh, I'll be there. Yeah.
Wonderful.
I've got this weird, I can't say it though, but I've just got this funny feeling, but I'm trying not to say it. But I feel like we're going to turn up pretty well this Saturday, and I think we're smoky for a win, but they're still rightfully favourites in my mind, just because they got some rightful Heenies and all them Warners. But
yeah, of course,
just got this funny feeling we're going to be really up for this game.
I hope so. I really hope that it's not, we don't leave it until the final 4 minutes of the game to, either win it or lose it. Either way, I'd like to know before the last quarter. That would be great for once.
Look, if we win the game, it's close. If we don't like outside of Melbourne, we don't win games that,
thank you for just putting me back into my reality just there for a second. It was way too much to ask that this team was going to come anywhere near, and we know something always happens. So we'll all be on the lookout for some kind of fuckery, as I call it. Thank you so much, Scott. And we'll chat to you maybe fan cams on Saturday night.
Great. And thanks for putting on the channel and getting the Bomber community all talking.
Thank you, Scott. Really appreciate your support as always. Good night.
Catch up.
Good night. Pommy, proper size mug. Yes, it's my Harry Potter mug. Can you all see that? Gryffindor. I got sucked in. I took my nieces to the exhibition thingy on the school holidays, and I got sucked in good at the gift store. They got me good, and I spent a fortune there because they needed a $15 pen with a Hogwarts and signature on it. That probably cost 50 cents to make, but it is a good size mug. So, all right, what have you all got for me in the chat? Ethnic. Menzies epitomizes the Dons, mocked 1 week, lauded the next, sub the next, dropped the next. Yeah, he's a funny one. He's in a thankless position, isn't he? We're never going to be happy with him, but did he do enough to keep his spot? It was probably just on the cusp there, I reckon. Pommy, my favorite non-relative Carlton supporter. Me too. Thank you for being here, Joe. Really appreciate it. Who have we got? I told you Zach would go forward, Fiona. Richard, you did. You called it. I can absolutely see to that. So 3 teenagers in our side now, Bruce. Yes, we are very young. I mean, if you take Goldie out of this, and I'm going to talk to my next guest about this, about the Shiel inclusion and why it is here. I see a very obvious reason why it is, but I will talk to the next legend about that. Richard Hobbs can play wing. Can he? Is he quick enough for that? I think that his effort will always be there. Absolutely. I would never question his effort to be put anywhere that the coach puts him, but I'm just not sure if he would have the endurance or speed to do that. Ninja Works. Hello. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. My man, Solution, got up at 5 a.m. to watch Arsenal lose because we had too many midfielders pretending to be forwards. Brad Scott says, hold my beer. I mean, it is a lot of midfielders and they're going to be relegated to the forward line. So that's going to be fun. I maintain that Hobbs is a decent forward. Do any of you agree with me? I think I am alone in that boat. I dare say none of you agree with me. But I think he's a decent forward. Last time we played the Swans, he took a Superman mark. Who was it on? It was on someone, but a Superman mark from a very good kick into the forward 50 and absolutely nailed it. So I think he's okay. Howie, look at this. It's the lunchtime catch-up and the Windy Hill Windsock involved in Bomber banter. You love to see it. I appreciate you, Howie. Thank you for spreading the love. Really appreciate it. Dave, glad we're getting a little more settled in the forward line. Well, 5 of them anyway. Absolutely, yes. Another week where those boys get another string of games together, learning each other's patterns. Don't underestimate how important that is. Every week, if they're picking up one little intricacy of each other's personalities, that is a bonus. Moby, those lower graphics are in sync, but not flat. Ouch. Okay. Can you not soften these blows a little bit, people? I am very vulnerable. Julian, hopefully a ruck. I believe that's, Pommy, hang on. Here we go. Pommy, mid-season draft, what are you guys looking for? You're going to go developing ruck like a Crosley for now or Burgermeister for the future or maybe Riley Flynn? What's your guys' reads? I mean, personally, ruck, I think we need the ruck. I know it is a year contract that we have to give them all, even more in some cases, but I just don't think you can firstly put on Goldstein's shoulders that much pressure. And then Vigo, whilst he did look good on Friday when I watched him, I don't personally think he could come in yet. Great signs, but I just don't think alone yet. If he had a Draper with him to help him on game day, I would absolutely be on board that. Julian, I agree. Yep. Don Caldwell, thank you for being here, my friend. Lewis Hayes is a spoil and back shoulder intercept machine at VFL level. His defensive traits will transfer very well to the AFL. Well, I'm about to have someone come on to tell us more about the wonders that is Lewis Hayes and Archer Day Wicks. I can't wait. Joe, of course you're a Gryffindor, Fiona. Of course. How long you been a Dons fan for now, Fiona? Thank you, Peter, for being here. Are you is that a sneaky way of asking me how old I am? Is that a sneaky way of you making me reveal how many years I have been? I'm going to dance around that topic and tell you I've been a Dons supporter all my life. Fell out of, I wasn't taken to many games, but I kind of copied everything my sister did. And she was a Don supporter, went through childhood, forgot football, was into princesses and tea parties and all that. And then fell back in love with the club and the game late in my teens and early 20s. And I have a very exciting video coming, maybe by a week, about the origins of mine and some incredible people, fans and the like in the industry. The question that I asked them is, what is the moment that you knew that your soul was tied to this club? So we know your origin stories and how you became. Everyone knows it's born. Mostly people are born into the supporter base and your parents or your grandparents, and we don't have much choice. But what is the moment? What game? What article? What moment did you know that your soul was tied to the club and there was no going back? So I'm going to be doing a really, really cool video on that. So, Peter, nice try. Pinball Pete, thank you for being here, Pete. Go Bombers. I concur. Hi, John. Good to see you. Hope you're well. Why drop Sardis? He might leave like Massimo. I'm of the opinion that dropping young players and forcing them to earn their spot builds that resilience. I have seen the fruits of that madness. Unfortunately, there is just no spot for him. There is already too many midfielders. And I'm going to talk to this next guest right now about why I think he was dropped. So, without further ado, hello, Felix.
Hello. Hello. How are we?
I am doing well. How are you?
Good. Good. That was a surprise.
Oh, sorry, I didn't.
I was kind of. You're right. You're right.
I didn't do a nice bit long lead up for you, did I? I just kind of clicked you on.
That's right.
How's your
That's
day
all
been?
good. Happy to be here. Stressful. There was who was it before that just commented about Arsenal? Because we
Oh, when
both
did
would
you?
have
Yeah, the
woken up very
solution.
early to watch the game. Yep, and it didn't go too well. And it was a very good
Oh,
comparison, by the way, the midfielders and the forwards.
oh, okay. All right. So
Yeah.
talk to me. What I want to talk to you about is I think there is a very obvious reason why Shiel came back into this side and Sardis was dropped. Do you agree?
Yeah, I mean, it was always going to be tough, and I think, you know, I think Brad Scott's gotten a bit lucky with Sardis's form, because if Sardis had come in and played a blinder of a game,
Mm.
Shiel was only managed. He wasn't dropped. He was always going to come back in, and he's had a good year so far. So I think, luckily for Scott, there was a midfielder there, and age is kind of irrelevant in a situation like this. There was a midfielder there that just wasn't good enough against the Roos, and yeah, there was an elite midfielder waiting on the outside who could come right back in for him. That's how I
And
see
I
it.
guess, yeah, I mean, and I guess, yeah, as you say, Shield was managed and actually came out on good form. He was in good form when
Yeah,
he was rested, I guess, essentially. So it's not like
yeah,
he wasn't, it's not like this is a gifted game in a way, Personally, I think Solution just said, Felix, we're brothers in misery. There you go.
yeah. It was a tough morning.
Oh, sorry, guys. Well, hopefully it's the day is ending better than it started. Um, I believe Shield was brought in purely because otherwise it is such a young, inexperienced baby team that this is just an element. He just brings an extra element. Not that his leadership is exquisite and he's not known for his leadership, but I just think he has enough experience under his belt to help these, well, not so much Lewis Hayes, but Wicker in particular. So that's why I think
Yeah,
Shiel was brought in particularly favoured ahead of Sardis.
yeah, and that's a good shout, because it's already, even with Shield, it's an inexperienced baby team. This is probably one of our
Exactly.
youngest and most inexperienced teams of the year, and pretty much every week we've either been the youngest or second youngest team in the comp. So yeah, and I mean, if that's not a sign that we're rebuilding, I don't know what is.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so Felix, you you do a lot of work and a lot of scouting and a lot of watching a lot of vision of some of our young kids and have
Yeah,
I assume before, I mean, Hayes is from the 2022 draft and obviously Wicker is from last year's rookie draft. So let's start with Lewis Hayes, who was feels like he's been in an emergency forever and now
yeah.
through opportunity gets up for his opportunity. Tell us everything. What can we expect from him?
Yeah, I mean, the interesting thing about this is that I feel like last year, and correct me if I'm wrong, but when we played Sydney, we ended up bringing in Wiedemann instead of Hayes, and I feel like that was probably the prime opportunity for a debut back then. And now, fast forward to now, we're bringing in Hayes. When I mean, you could argue that it's tough, because we're so tall in defence against a pretty small Sydney forward line, and that's where Hayes' game is going to be really interesting, because one of these big key defenders is going to be vulnerable at one stage against a smaller forward. But I think looking at Hayes recently in the VFL, because he's had a few different roles, even this year, I don't think he's going to be someone who can be exposed on ground level as much as, say, a Ben Mackay. So I think, and as Scooter was saying before, Zach Reed, who's actually not too bad at ground level. I think this is the game where you can see, the um, three-pronged key defensive attack actually kind of working in our favour.
Okay.
As for
Mhm.
Hayes, I mean, yeah, he's just a really reliable, good, lanky defender. He's got those long arms. He looks skinny, but I think it's partly because he's got, longer than average arms. Really clever, really good reader of the ball. He rarely lets himself down, and when he does, you can tell that he doesn't enjoy it. So he's someone that actually cares about his own work, which is good. Because I know people would criticize, even Ben Mackay for something like that. But no, I think
Absolutely.
yeah, and anyone who's seen Hayes in the VFL has been excited for him for a while now, and it was only a matter of time before he got his debut. Some would say it's overdue. I think it's probably better if you're made to wait. He's actually something that doesn't get talked about is that he was quite young in his draft. So Zach Johnson was similar. He's born really late in the year, which means he's almost eligible
Yes.
for the following year's draft, and
Following.
Hayes was in a
Yeah.
similar boat to that. So I think it's probably for the best that he was made to wait because he looks more developed than he ever has, which obviously makes sense because he's been in the system for so long. But no,
Mm.
really, really talented player, and I can't wait to see him.
So tell me, what is his strength? Is his strength more a one-on-one matchup? He's going to lock in. He's going to have a direct opponent. He's going to have shown all the vision of the direct opponent, whoever that may be, and told to just study them, stick to them, watch their leading patterns, or is his strength in being an intercept defender?
I think down the line his strength will be as an interceptor because that's kind of how he
Okay.
was playing really well last year with Wiedemann in defence. He was
Uh-huh.
really loose a lot of the time, but this week I'd be surprised if he's the loose one. It'd be Zach Reed I think who's going to be pretty spare back there. And Hayes I'm guessing is going to be playing a role on his fellow Ranger Aaron Francis, which is fun. Yeah, I can't see it being too much different to that while Ben Mackay's on Hayden McLean. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and I think it's probably a really good game for Redmond. I know he hasn't been spoken about a lot, but I just have a feeling that this is a game for him to really get some ascendancy, and he'll be he'll be the oldest player down there now. He's the lead. Oh, and McGrath,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
he's
yeah,
older.
them
But
too. Yeah,
both of them are going to really have to dig deep and
yep,
really guide, because Zach Reed is young and already Ben Mackay is still young in the system, in our system. So
yeah,
we're
yeah,
going to really need their leadership.
yeah, for sure. And I mean, I actually really loved Redmond last week. I gave him a vote in my Player of the Year votes. I thought he was great. And
I
and
saw.
also how he filled and how he filled in the role of Ridley a little bit, like to an extent, late in that
Yeah.
game. So I think
Yeah.
he's quietly, flying under the radar a bit, getting a lot of criticism, but I think he's actually having not too bad a year.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, you took the words out of my mouth, Scott. The two key players we need to lift and get back to their damaging best form, Langford and Martin. Martin is the one that I think
Yeah.
straight away. Where is he going to play on Saturday, Felix?
Oh, I mean,
Or where do
surely it'd
you want
have
to
to
see him
be.
play?
Oh, it's such a strange forward line. I think this team, in a lot of ways, is probably the strangest lineup we've had, and I think it's probably hidden a bit
Yeah,
by the debutants because everyone loves a debutant. We could bring in
yeah,
anybody and we'd be hyped no matter what, even if it makes the team look worse. But like
yeah.
our forward line is odd. We've gotten rid of two of our pressure-based players, you could say, in Menzies and Gresham, who I thought lifted last week until his injury, and brought in Day Wicks, who I think will probably play more similar to Gresham, where he pushes higher up the field. But there's not a lot going on in the forward line anymore. There's going to be pretty midfield heavy up there, and I think Martin probably has to stick around there. Even if he's not getting his hands on the pill heaps, at least
Mm,
getting it around the arc because we just don't have that class of Gresham there anymore, which is going to be
yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be important to put so much pressure on the ball carriers, the Sydney's ball carriers,
Yeah,
that forces them into that long bomb into their forward 50. So that's where our tall defenders can take marks and intercept.
yeah,
If they lower their eyes and find targets, I think that's their strategy here, to have a small forward line, hoping that their mids and backmen can lower their eyes and deliver into forward 50 really well. We're hoping that we can disrupt their flow really well, that we force a long high bomb into their forward line, and then our tall defenders can chop it off. So fingers crossed that happens. Okay, next debutant Bear Bomber is Archer Day Wicks, affectionately known as Wicker.
Yep, love that. Yep. I was excited about this kid before he was drafted. I talked about him a lot last year before he was drafted to the club. Part of it's because I believe he trained with Essendon early last year.
Okay.
Yeah, well, he was a part of people forget he was really hyped at the start of the year. So he was taken in the rookie draft, but he was in the AFL Academy. One of the more hyped players before the year started. He struggled for form a bit. But that hype was always there. That talent was always there. There were heaps of glimpses, and it was an absolute steal to take him in the rookie draft. And I said that after he was taken. I'm surprised that he's making his debut this early. I didn't think he was going to come good this fast, but he's looked so ready pretty much since his first VFL game. But he's looked just like he's ready to play AFL, and that's why he was on the emergencies list so soon, despite being a rookie draftee. Yeah, no, he's one I'm really excited about for the future, because he can be anything. He's a really fun player.
I know we all bemoan when we see, we've drafted a forward who can go into the midfield, or we've drafted a back who can go into the midfield. That seemed to be the done thing. But with him, I can absolutely see him transitioning into the midfield. His body is sound. It is sound. He has an absolute midfielder's body. I was impressed.
And he's already played midfield minutes in the VFL too. And something else that he talked about a bit last year was his, and this really surprised me hearing him talk about it, because he's actually a really measured speaker a lot of the time, which, I think last year especially, this year not so much, but last year, he's a bit of a wacky player. This year he looks like he's really focused on doing the team things first, while also having that X factor about him. But he spoke about how he can play anywhere. He actually did play off a halfback flank a bit last year, I believe. So he's really versatile. So yes, he's a forward midfielder now, but in a few years' time, who knows where he's going to be? And that's the exciting thing about a player like this.
Yeah, and I think he's the kind of player who will absolutely wring the best out of himself. He strikes me as that kind of personality. He will go to the ends of the earth to get the absolute best. And he's already had a bit of a shaky entry into the system, so that is just another string of resilience that adds to a young player, because it makes them not take anything for granted. Because it was his dream of playing in the AFL was almost, well, there are so many other avenues now to entering the system, but in that standard way was taken away from him. So, and that was that's a hit to the ego, no matter how prepared you are for the rigors of the emotional roller coaster of being an AFL footballer. So I just think that he's already pretty sound in the mind. So I dare say he's going to get a really good run tomorrow, Saturday night, and he's going to get a really good introduction to the rigors and the tank you need. Because he probably hasn't built that tank quite as yet. Do you think he could be sub?
I don't know. I think if Menzies was staying in, I probably would have had Day Wicks. It's just such a strange forward line to make a forward the sub in, because the thing about it is that he's probably going to be, if he's not the starting sub, he's definitely in line to be subbed off as well. I just don't know how we're going to line up if he is the starting sub, but it's hard to see anyone else being the starting sub. You could say Sard, but we kind of do need something on the wing. I can see it happening. He's got a bit of X factor about him. He's definitely someone who impacts and patches. We've seen that in the VFL a bit. Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting. It's going to be, the hour before the game starts is going to be just as interesting as the team selection, because I don't know who's going to be sub, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few options, but
Yeah.
I mean, to my eye, there is just way too. Maybe Hobbs could be sub. Like they might.
Yeah, yeah, I guess you could probably name about 10 different players. I'm looking at the team now that could be sub.
Yeah.
There's quite a few options, and that's not a bad thing. I think it's better than having
No.
just the one sub every week like we had with Sard, because that's just not good for development.
No, exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, thank you, Felix, for telling us a bit about these two young baby bombers that we are going to see on
worries.
Saturday. You'll be
Yes,
watching, I assume, 4:15 on Saturday.
of course. Yes, I'll be
Wonderful.
watching.
Well, hopefully you can be our at-home scout for fan cams
Yep.
and tell us what we didn't see at a more respectable hour, thank God, this week. So
Yeah.
fan cams, I'm thinking will be start about 7:30 or 8 o'clock. So hopefully see you there if
Awesome.
you can make it. Thank you so
I'll
much
try
for
and make
being
it.
here.
Yeah. Thank you
As
for having me on.
always, my pleasure. Good night, Felix.
Good night.
Well, you guys are just having a nice old chat about what side of your bodies make are just there for show and what side are not. So I am going to bring in a debutante. Hello, James.
Hello there.
How are you?
I'm good. How the hell are you?
Welcome to your debut on Bomber
It is my
Banter.
debut. I thought I'd just jump on and give you a shout out and give you a bit of moral
Well,
support. Love what you're
thank you.
doing.
You know I love a cheerleader in my corner. I have collected so
I'm here for
many,
you.
and absolutely, you and I ventured down to Windy Hill last week, Friday, didn't we?
We did. It was good to watch
What
some
a-
of the young boys run around, but it was just as good to catch up with some of the amazing Essendon people like your Charlie Dons and your Rick Edwards and a few others and have a chat. It's good to bit of both. Sometimes it's hard to focus on the footy when you're having a good chat, isn't it?
Is that a little dig at me? Because I literally did not watch a minute of the first quarter because I was too busy gas bagging.
Obviously, no different. We're
I
all the
mean,
same.
it's just such a wonderful reminder that for every bad grape, what's the saying? Not grape. What's the plum? For every bad
I have
fruit
no idea
in the
where you're going
bunch,
with this.
for every bad fruit in the bunch, there's 100 million good people. And at the VFL, we were sitting on the hill and we were chatting with a couple of absolute legends. So that was really fun. But more importantly, did you see what I know we were both really impressed with Archer Day Wicks? Obviously, Hazy didn't play. Did you see the selection coming? I can't remember if I asked you that on the day.
No, if I'm being honest, I didn't see it happening this week. If I probably thought that Johnson might have come in before
Apple.
Archer
Thank
Day
you,
Wicks.
Mama Boy.
What was
The
that?
bad apple of the bunch. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Yep. Yes,
No,
Johnson, he was very good.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm excited for it. I see a lot that I like with Archer Day Wicks, but I thought he might have been a few weeks away of getting that opportunity. But I'm glad that he's got it. But there's a lot to like with him. He's got some tricks, the boy. And I know there's a few who just love him because he wears the black boots. He bucks the trend and wears old school black boots. There's a bit to like about him.
Is that
He's
a pattern?
It seems like a bit of a different cat. What was that?
Does he
Sorry.
do that every week? Does he
Yeah,
wear the black boots every week?
Yep, every week.
Okay. We like a bit of uniqueness.
He seems a little different. Bucks the trend.
Yeah. Love that.
But no, I like
love
it. He seems like a strong unit. Do you know what I like about him? He just seems to know how to find the footy. He just seems to find himself in the right spots to find the footy and uses it really well. So I'm excited to see him play. My gut feel is he probably will be the sub. I know everyone hates the sub with the debutant, but he's my gut feel for being the sub. But I think there's a lot to like with Archer Day Wicks, and it's good to have a hyphen back in the team, isn't it?
Yeah. What did I say to you on the day? I said, how are we going to support this guy? Like, go Day Wicks. Like, it's just a mouthful. And then like 5 minutes later, we heard them all the boys on the ground calling him Wicker, 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 the ball. And I thought, that's better. Wicker. So,
Wicker, is it? I saw someone in the chat. I don't know how true this is, but apparently his nickname's John, which seemed a bit boring.
Is that
I saw
yeah? That
someone
is
put that in the comments. I don't know how true that is.
no offense to anybody called John. You are welcome here, and we love you. However,
No, it's
I
not much of
wonder
a
if
nickname, though,
that's
is it?
no, it's not a good nickname, and I wonder if that's because they realised that saying Archer Wicks was a mouthful, and they just said John
John.
because that was so easy. Who knows?
Maybe it could be as
Do
simple as
you,
that.
do you think there is too many midfielders?
I think there's too many midfielders. I
Mhm,
think there are too many tall defenders, and I think there's
mhm.
not enough small forwards. But having said that, though, I typically am someone who will default to the coaches have their plan. They know what they're doing. They have more information than I do. So they're paid the big bucks to make the decisions. For me personally,
Yeah,
yeah, I don't see roles for Hayes, Reed, and McKay looking at their team.
Mackay.
I'm sorry, did I get his name wrong? Did I pronounce it wrong?
Yes.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of midfielders. There's a lot of guys who will play forward who probably aren't natural forwards, which probably a bit of a problem for us for the last 12 months, 2 years. But yeah, I just think I also don't think there's enough small forwards with Gresham and Menzies both going out. I actually like the look of the team and how we played when there was 3 small forwards. Personally, a bit like Hawthorn,
Yeah.
but I'm still looking forward to Saturday. I think anything's possible.
It's a good point you make. Well, we can sit here and judge, and like I've created a live show where we can come on and do that, exactly that. But at the end of the day, the coaches obviously have a plan.
Yeah,
I personally think part of that plan is to force Sydney into the long high bomb into their forward line. So pressure them enough so they default to that long high bomb, which we usually do to our forward line. And allowing defenders to pack mark or intercept mark, and where I think they're hoping to get dominance in that way. But if that goes wrong, and if Sydney are really firing and they're lowering their eyes and they're flowing really well into their forward 50, that's going to come back to bite us because off the
yeah,
mark, our forwards are not quick. Mackay is certainly not quick. Hazy is quick for a big boy, for a 200 centimeter guy, but I don't think he's as agile as possible. So I think we'll probably get found out.
yeah. Look, I'm excited for Hayes. I've been watching him a lot for the last couple of years, and I've seen him gradually improve. Like he still gets pushed off the ball a little bit, but a lot of young, obviously, defenders do, and he deserves an opportunity. It's just,
Yeah.
personally, I'm not sure if this is the right week based on the opposition. But what I do feel is Essendon, the coaching staff and the way they're playing the lineup is really playing the long game. They feel really wedded to 3 key talls in the back line, and they're sticking to that regardless of opposition. So it feels like they're prioritising the synergy of 3 key tall defenders for the long term, and Hayes in for Ridley, as opposed to playing the ideal defence for the opposition. That's how it feels to me, which
My
I'm okay
question
with
is,
because they're playing the long game.
yeah, but my question is, if it's not playing devil's advocate here, if it's not the way to go to play 3 talls, why are we doing what's to say in the long game is going to make 3 talls the way to go? So why are we persisting with it? Does that make sense? Did I?
No, it does. I don't have the answer. I think I think you'd have to ask the coaching staff, but I just think that's how they want to line up. And I can see it, depending, a lot of the really good sides, you probably need the 3 key tools. And Ridley can obviously play on Ridley's really versatile with who he can play on. He can play on a smaller forward, but he can also, if needed, play on a real tall, but you want him more as an intercept. And I think Reed can also play that intercept role. He's actually surprisingly, for a guy his size, he's actually quite quick and nimble, and he's a beautiful user of the footy. So I expect him more to play as an intercept this week, and they'll play Mackay. Sorry, Mackay or Mackay? Which one?
Mackay.
Mackay and Hayes more on any of their key defenders. I think they'll actually play Reed more as a intercept distributor of the footy out of the back line.
Well, I would be
That's just
okay
my
with
opinion.
that because he's an
He's
exceptional
got
user
s-
of the ball.
He has got. Do you remember after the Adelaide game how there was so many supporters potting him that he's another shit kick? Excuse my French. And it's like, come on, guys. He's played one
I
game.
mean,
He's a good user of the footy, and with more continuity, he's just going to get better and better and better. And we need more players who can take aggressive kicks and execute and kick, go through the middle of the ground to set us up to go forward. And he is absolutely one of those. And yeah, I did find it a bit amusing how he muffed some kicks against Adelaide. Let's call a spade a spade.
he was shocking. He was
But,
shocking. But
who wasn't shocking that day apart from I think Caldwell from memory? No, it was Merritt. Everyone was shocking.
I
that
mean
day.
that, but also he's not played for how long?
No,
And he's a tall, lanky string
yeah,
bean, didn't shoot. Like the reaction to that is probably brought me the most. It was just, I, I can't even get words out to describe how ridiculous that reaction was.
yeah.
Because it
Hey,
was so
let's-
irrational.
we don't, there's some Essendon supporters don't mind a bit of a snap reaction on
This is
certain
true.
players. It happens. But
This is
yeah,
true.
no,
This is
and
why we're here.
it is why we're here. A bit of balance, hopefully.
Yeah, that's
Um,
right. Hopefully.
yeah, look, I'd love I actually have no idea what to expect going into this game on Saturday. I think I go to every game hopeful and
Yeah.
thinking we're an absolute chance.
Yeah.
But I do worry about it just based on the lineup we've got. I think if we don't mark the footy in our forward line, it could come out at real speed with some of their like Nick Blakey, Riley Bice, and how they use us coming out of the back line.
They are
And then
very good.
you've got Warner and Heaney through the middle, Heaney going forward. They could slice us if we're not on our game.
Yeah, absolutely. They are very good at bulleting the ball from the defensive half.
Yeah, and we
They
need more of those users. Yeah,
all it requires, I am adamant, is keeping Blakey occupied. He starts it all. It starts and ends with him, in my opinion. He creates chaos. He loves the chaos himself. He's unpredictable. And it's a bit like McGovern. If you keep them accountable and there is a defensive role played on them, my first thought was Perkins. And then I'm thinking maybe he's not quite as, doesn't have the tank or the agility to do that job. But yeah, he's the key for me. He's the key. Before I leave you, give me a prediction.
I feel dirty saying this, but I reckon Sydney by 15 points.
Okay.
But what I will add to that though is I'm actually really bullish on where we're heading. Everything I'm seeing at a club, the tough decisions we've made over the last 2 years, the fact it just feels for the first time in so long, the recruitment, the development, the coaching, everyone finally is on this. They preach it, but it feels it. Everyone's really on the same page. I feel like we've recruited the last draft in particular, a lot of recruits, but all of them have a lot of talent.
Yeah.
Need development. They're all really good users of the footy. They're all pretty quick as well, and it just feels like we're just making the better decisions as a group. But the club's united, so I don't necessarily feel we're going to win this week. I think that's just a reflection of where the two sides are at right now. But I'm very excited for the coming years with what I'm seeing out of Essendon, and we got such a good draft hand this year and so much flexibility.
Yeah.
Probably sound like a bit of an Essendon puppet at the moment, but I'm very bullish about where we're heading.
That's okay.
And I hope supporters see it too, because it's like, yeah, it's been shit for 20 years, but the last year or two, it's totally different.
It feels completely different. I agree.
There is not a single role that is still there from 3-4 years ago. The roles changed over, and they're all good footy people, all on the same page. It's exciting, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I mean,
Just
we're gonna have
enjoying the
our
ride at the moment, to be honest. Knowing this isn't really our year, but just enjoying the growth and enjoying the ride.
Yeah, and I think if we continue to debut some debutantes and some baby bombers, then I think that'll at least keep us, keep the hope alive and the vision. Thank you so much, James, for being here and for all your
Always
support.
always a pleasure. See you soon.
You know I value you. I might see
Eat the
you
wine bar.
Saturday night. Yes, exactly. Thank you so much. Good night. Bye. Solution. Can we talk about how much we all hate Sydney? So much. Let me count the ways. Matthew, thank you for being here, Matt. Justice for Marty. Hell yes. Fuck the Swans, especially Paps me. Yes, unfortunately, Papley is no longer, is not in the side, still injured. There needs to be a parliamentary inquiry into the Sydney Academy absolute cheat codes for decades. Yes, agree. Solution, justice for Marty, for the goalpost and for 2 meter Peter. Yes, hell yes. Ethnic. At least we won't have any coconut tree climbers, not when playing this mob. I mean, if you actually think back to that, how was that allowed to happen? I mean, it begs belief. The conspiratist in me thinks that never would have been allowed against any other team. But anyway. Dave, hello. Dave is
Hey,
not
mate, how are you?
focused. Oh, there you are. I'm good. How are you?
Bit delayed. I'm good. I've got all my family at the game on Saturday or Sunday, Arvo. So it's
How many?
yes,
How many does that make?
I think there's 10 of them going. My dad, when he came to Australia, lived in South Melbourne, so he's still a Sydney supporter. And this will give you an idea as to how old I am. But in 1980, when I used to spend a lot of time with my uncle and cousins and stuff like that out in Essendon, and they're obviously Essendon supporters. So I used to be a South Melbourne supporter, and in 1980, I was 4 years old, and they said to me, "If you don't barrack for Essendon, we'll never talk to you again." So I became an Essendon supporter at
Thank
4
God for
years
that.
old, and since then, it's it hasn't been. I still remember I was 8 years old at '84 grand final. I still remember that time, and so yeah, my younger sister is an Essendon supporter. My older sister is a Sydney supporter. Mum is a converted Sydney supporter now. So there's a bit of rivalry going on this weekend, which is good.
It's. I mean, it could go either way. Do you think? Like, there's no sure.
Yeah.
I know Sydney are favoured, and rightly so, because we don't have good history. But I think I fully believe it could go either way.
Yeah. We've just got to stop Haney. We've got to stop, as you guys were talking about it, yourself and James. We've just got to stop that run out of the back line, and that's Bice and what's his name, Lizard. Yeah. So if we can stop those two, and I know you were talking about all of those kind of too many mids, but we've got Hobbs. He'll play forward most of the time, and he'll play that high forward. He'll get in. He'll put his head in, and he's going to put his head in. He'll be kind of in and under. Nick Martin will probably play on Blakey, I reckon. That's my guess.
Okay. That's interesting. I don't think any supporter would have seen that coming.
Only
given
because
that
of
he's
the
been
pace.
Well, given he's played, well, just the move of Nick Martin. I mean, I don't mind it. I think it would be a point of difference, but just because he's been played on the wing defense, and we've only seen him very, very sparingly move into the forward line.
Yeah, I'd like to see him kind of play there, and then it's that, because what I wrote down. That's why I made that comment about we've got 5 players in the forward line. We've got Wright, Kako, Caddy, Langford, and Perkins that are kind of cemented there now and kind of know their roles. And then anyone from Hobbs, Martin, Zach, and Shiel to an extent will kind of rotate through that area. And that's not even including the guys that are on the bench. But Archie Roberts will, play in the back line or on the wing and stuff like that. So that wing position, and we were talking about this last week. Everyone was talking about it last week as well. that wing position as who takes that role on the other side of Dersma will be interesting to watch. So can't wait. I'll be in front of the TV with dinner and watching it. So, what time's the game?
Yes.
4:00.
4:15.
Yeah. So I won't have dinner then, but looking forward to it. Up
Half,
here in
halfway.
warm Brisbane.
Yes. Is it still warm there? It's turned cold and lovely here.
Oh, it's cold. It's getting cooler at night, so it's about 18 degrees.
Cooler.
Cooler.
It was yeah. I think during the day, in the peak of the day, it was like 15 here. So I don't believe you when you say cooler. But who do you think they will make sub?
I instantly thought it would be Setterfield.
You're the second. Scott also said that.
Yeah, but the only reason I say that is because you look at Sydney's kind of in and under players, and they've all got a bit of there's not as many as what they used to have and stuff. So I reckon that's what I reckon is he'll be sub and he'll come on later.
I've been such a big fan of Setterfield's work since he came in 4 games ago.
Yeah.
I have been so impressed. He is ranking really high in the entire AFL for some really important metrics. I think if we're going to start a sub, if we're going to start a mid as sub, I don't think it should be him. I think he's earned the right to play the game. I think I think there's a perfect matchups for him in terms of whoever gets Heaney. There's Heaney and Chad Warner. So Durham and Setterfield can kind of run with them, and because they're the two most important mids, and Heaney has the ability to turn a game, but Chad Warner is in incredibly good form. Yeah. So I just think if we are gonna, which we should probably make a midfielder. I just don't want it to be him. I think I don't know, maybe Shiel.
Yeah. Rowbottom's the one we have to watch out for as well.
Yes,
I think
James Rowbottom. He's one of my favorites.
He gets a lot of it, a lot of the ball,
and
it's big kicks. He's always the one that he's the one that's kind of getting it out and quick kicking it into their forward line and stuff.
Talking about loving the hard ball and digging deep, he is one of my favorite non-Essendon players. I absolutely love watching the way he plays his footy. Very tough competitor. Dan, Shiel sub, in my opinion, simple. Yeah. Look, my practical brain says it, but then I think a bit deeper, and I think it's not like he's he's a great come on and have an immediate impact type player. So maybe it's not a good sub, but you just can't start with all those midfielders.
No, but maybe it is because he is he's an explosive player, and I mean these teams are going to be buggered by halfway through the third quarter and stuff. So maybe he can come on and most of the time he does play with a bit of class. Like he does run into space well and puts it out to the running players that are coming out of the forward line and stuff. So
and added to that, he has been cramping late in games, so this might, whether we sub him later or sub him or make him start him sub, it's probably not a bad shout. My gut says either Shiel or Hobbs as the sub. Scotty, absolutely, you're right. We do like to debut via being sub also. Could be 6 players. You're absolutely right. Yeah, Felix said that. It is an absolute toss of the coin. We could be so off. Like we might not have even mentioned in this hour that we've all been here, we may not have even mentioned who the actual sub is. It could be like Archie Perkins. Nobody, it could be any of them. But I think your point, Dave, on Hobbs, I think, he's gonna like realistically play so much of the game in the forward line if he isn't the sub or if he isn't subbed. And I just really need him to take what I said, I really like his forward craft. I just need him to take his pressure and hunting and pressuring the ball and the ball carrier to the next level to be really good and not leave it all up to Kako. because I just have not enjoyed watching Kako bouncing from player to player and then playing keepings off with him. So he needs to give him some support at ground level in that department.
Yeah, and that's, to me, that's the biggest thing out of everyone that's playing when they haven't got the ball. That's their kind of biggest weakness, is when they haven't got the ball, and we're in offense, you could say, that they don't kind of set themselves up defensively and stuff. And it's Hobbs, could be one of those, and Perkins is another one that they kind of ball watch essentially, and they don't really set themselves up. And that's the poor guys in the back line. They're the ones that suffer in the end. So
absolutely,
that's a big watch for me, is how they can, still play with flair and offense and that. But as soon as they get rid of the ball, watch kind of them more experienced guys and get into that defensive area.
Would you have guessed that, Dave?
Top 40.
Don Caldwell always coming up with the stats.
There you go.
That is surprising to me. Wow.
Yeah.
That is incredibly surprising. Go, Benny. Like that is great.
I love the way he plays, Hobbs. I just, he just reckless abandonment. He goes for the ball, the way he kind of goes in and under a pack and stuff. And he just, in the forward line, it's good because, Perkins can take the handball, or, Kako one day will kind of get on the end of a couple from him as well. So, I'm looking forward to those guys. I'm looking forward to a game where we can just kind of celebrate the whole game. and all the guys in the forward line have a good game and stuff.
I don't know if that's coming.
Watching.
I don't know if that's coming. Let me set your expectations just to where they need to be. I don't think that's coming, but it's good to set the bar high. I think maybe in our near future that could be something we hope to see. But so they're all coming to your house, your family, the 10 of them?
No, I'm in Brisbane. They're in Melbourne.
Oh, they're still in Melbourne. Oh, okay.
Yeah, all my family's in Melbourne, so they're going. Okay. They're at the game. They've got 5. They've got a row of 5 and another row of 5 behind that. So yes, Dad's
so you're the only one in Brisbane.
Yeah, Dad's taking him his Ribena bottle full of his red wine and
stuff. Bless. Homemade.
Yeah.
Of course. So are they the kind of family? Are you going to get some text messages saying how shit we are, or haha you suck? What's the banter like?
My younger sister will have the phone in her hand. Dad will just smile for the photo because he's eyes on. He's watching. If the game was in Sydney, he would just be, you can't disrupt him, you can't get him away from the TV or anything like that. So he'll be watching, and the banter will be between my younger sister, who's an Essendon supporter. So we'll be the ones chatting to each other, and then she'll just pass on the message to the rest of the family to give them shit. So
it's all very respectful and measured.
Yeah, until my dad gets a bit angry when I remember the Swanettes. Remember the cheerleaders that the Sydney Swans used to have back in the day. So anyway, they used to have cheerleaders on the ground at the SCG, and they were called the Swanettes. This is like in the Kappa years and stuff like that, when Warwick Kappa was there and stuff. Okay. So my dad gets extremely pissed off when I call the whole team the Swanettes. So that's my little dig to
fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully there will be something for you to send a nice little cheery text about come Saturday night. You can be another of our home scouts for the fan cam. So tell us what we didn't see for those of us who are going to the game. Thank you so much, as always, Dave, for your support.
No worries.
And for jumping on. Always good to have a chat to you, and I'll chat to you soon.
You will. Enjoy.
Good night. Bye. All right, let's talk through some of your comments here. John, Reid will be a gun. Yes, absolutely agree. Ethnic, thank you for hanging around and being here. Always appreciate it. We never know what to expect because the players have no idea either. I mean, preach. Facts. Absolute facts. Craig, thank you for dropping by. Good to have you. Our half forwards and mids need to be on defensively. The pressure needs to be up. Yes, if it is not, it is going to fly out of there in the hands of the lizard. I tell you what, I'm going to have nightmares about him. I just rate him so highly and his ability because he's just so unpredictable. When he gets the ball, anything could happen, but he very rarely stuffs it up. It looks chaotic, but he can do a lot of damage. Perkins shows up for 1.5 quarters, then disappears to the shadow realm. I think I probably would have agreed with you up until the last couple of weeks. Is he just that impact player? That's what Stringer was. Is he just that impact player? Do we just take him as he is? Don, but where are we getting Stringer's 40 goals from, James? Yes, I mean, James mentioned that, that was another of the fans' favourite thing to complain about, that where are Stringer's goals going to get? Well, my answer to that is they do know that we don't have to play with one less on the field, right? We do get to replace Stringer. It just gives another player another opportunity to kick those goals. Paul, thank you for being here. Win or loss, we are heading that way. It's called new culture. Agree. It's start and ends. I mean, that's the equation, is it not? Every team that has had any meager of success has, as you can see, a good culture and has breeded players who come up in that culture. It's not a coincidence. Will there be a solution, Mark? Merchandise sale soon. I will have some merchandise absolutely coming soon. And don't worry, it won't be the standard hoodies and T-shirts and caps just plastered with the Bomber Banter logo. It will be very, very elegantly designed, uniquely designed, bits and pieces. I have ideas. I would love to know what you would love as part of a merch line, because I have ideas that I'm working on designing. But I would absolutely love for you to tell me what you want. So continue to tell me. Richard, it's in the Sydney script, them winning a close one in the 34th minute of the last. But why does it continue to be our script? I know why, but I don't enjoy it. I just don't enjoy it at all. Moby, if we get off to a start, I think we'll take this mob at Marvel. I would love to have the crowd involvement that was not there against the Kangaroos. It makes a difference. It was flat, and the boys could have used it. I know it's difficult, but Cheer Squad, I'm looking at you. A few people laughing at Dave's cold comment. Yes, I agree. I actually like the cold. I get heat fatigue very easily. Hey, it was mid-20s earlier this week, straight from summer to winter. Yeah, I don't love that oscillation, that jolt from hot to cold, but that is Melbourne. Hey, Paul Sutherland said it won't be sub. I don't think so. My gut says not. This is in relation to Hobbs, I believe. James just needs to stop calling for the ball running past on his left. He doesn't have a left. Play within your limitations, Hobbsy. I mean, yeah, but this is the thing. I don't think that's limited to him, this comment. I think there are a few players who call for the ball or on the wrong side. I think Hobbs reads the ball really well, but he does have limitations like they all do. This is my thing. Sometimes I think we hone in on a certain player's deficiencies more than others. Pinball Pete, we played Sydney twice this year. Wow, fabulous. That just made me feel better. So chances for just another form of fuckery. Was what you're telling me. Scotty, last 4 games, the Swans have only scored over 80 points once, which was 87. Malik now suspended. This may be a close, low-scoring game again. Look, we've done really well to keep our opponents to low scores. Obviously, pretending the Adelaide game did not exist. I completely agree with both forward lines in a bit of their infancy in terms of connection, cohesion, and personnel. I think that is a very high chance of happening. Pimble Pete, love this channel. My first time here. Go Bombers. I'm so happy to have you, Pete. So happy you found us. I will be here. We will be here. This community, this chat is incredible. It's been only I can't believe it's only been 3 weeks of this channel. It's blows my mind, but it's already an incredible community. So thank you. Super Dunk. Yo, hello. You've just entered the place. I'm finishing up. I'm pedaling downhill. But come back Saturday night for the fan cams. Maybe jump on for a chat. Could do a cheeky, sneaky chat. Joe, I don't know why, but I feel more comfortable going into this game than against North last week. What? How? Tell me how and why. Few of you up and about this game. I am shocked. I am a little bit shocked. Ethnic, everyone is welcome. The most positive, the most negative. So long as you're not mean and purposefully vindictive and cruel, anybody is welcome here. This is an opinion channel. We rarely talk about facts. We talk about our opinions, and there is literally no fact in opinion. You can disagree. If this channel, if you don't want to consume that, if it annoys you and if it draws nastiness and meanness out of you, roll on by. As with everything, all social media, it does not mean you need to be mean, but any opinions are welcome. You are welcome to disagree with me, so long as you're not mean. That is the only rule. Well, team, it has been a great night. Thank you to everyone who jumped on. Please make sure you are all... I really, really feel like the biggest drainer to keep telling you this, but this part is very important. It is going to facilitate me in taking this channel further and further. I really have big plans and want to take, to create a bigger community and meet heaps of you. So yes, I'm figuring out how to do more and more things thanks to many of you. I just pick up a phone and I call tech support because I am useless. Thank you, Matt. Appreciate your help this week. I might leave it there for the night. I might check out, don't know what the game that Fremantle and Collingwood, how that's going. I tipped Freo. Hopefully they are winning. Oh, no. Okay, just had a cheeky look. Scrap that. Why did I do that? Tip against the Pies who travel so well. Not smart. Alrighty, I will leave it there for the night. Thank you so much for everyone who came by, had fun. There was a great chat tonight, as always. I will see you all Saturday night, fan cams. I'm anticipating about 7:30, maybe 8 o'clock at the latest, which is perfect. So it won't be a 2 a.m. Bedtime for me. Okay. Everybody who's going, enjoy the game. If you're watching on TV, also enjoy. And I will chat to you Saturday night.